Okay, today has been a very long day. I believe it's still technically Monday, but just barely. Want to get through a few things here. I had some stuff come in the mail, but I just don't remember. Actually, yeah, today is Monday. But I don't remember where I put everything here. One of the things that came in was this Don Lee, which I'm sending out TTM here. I had purchased another card. There's kind of a light spot right there, and that's my fault. I was trying to clean off this paint blob, which didn't work very well, and I accidentally scraped away the color there. So I had to throw some blue on there with the darkest blue pen I have, and it didn't work too well. So I kind of damaged the card. I fixed the back better, got most of the paint off of there, but in the front I actually scraped away the color. I thought I had the razor blade at an angle, but I did not. So unfortunate. But why did I get a paint blob Don Lee is because there were some really terrible condition ones, way off center, rounded corners, and you know there were all $2 or $3 for those. Like, come on, you got to be kidding me because of shipping, etc., etc. But you go on to COMC, I know you have to pay $6 for shipping, but there were some Carl Yastrzemski's. I can get to it right here. I don't have it open right now, but there were some Carl Yastrzemski's from 1970 that were down to $2. You know, you want to beat up Carl Yastrzemski or do you want to beat up Don Lee? You know, Hall of Famer versus I'm never in the Hall of Fame. So that's an unfortunate thing with commons and stars. You can get the stars sometimes as close to the common price in many instances. Like the 90s stuff, you can go on and buy all kinds of piles of Ryne Sandbergs from the 90s and early 2000s for $1. Sometimes free shipping, and then Gary Lucas would cost you $2, $1 plus $1 shipping. Is like, this is stupid. And that's the unfortunate thing about commons is that they cost a lot more than the stars. Somebody was buying some Robin Yount cards from the late 70s at the swap meet and going on about a $10 value of each of those, and I don't remember them being more than $1 or $2, you know, 75 cents, that sort of thing. So, you know, just because you're a Hall of Fame doesn't mean that you sell very well. You know, all the Pete Roses, the George Bretts, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth year. I mean, there was some George Bretts from the 70s that I didn't grab because A, it was not very smart, and B, I know that they're not very expensive. It's only the rookies that people want. Second years, but then the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth year, they don't really particularly care. They do have a value unless they're super collectors like the Mattingly I got. Super collectors. But the reason why I have this Devil's Punch Bowl here is because I was talking to a woman from the Oregon coast, and I found a picture and I said, hey Margaret, would you like this picture? And she said, oh, that's really neat, that's the Oregon coast. And I said, isn't that Spouting Horn or is that Devil's Punch Bowl? And I said, I don't think, and she said, it's not Devil's Punch Bowl, but I don't know what that is. But it's just down the street from her, and it is Spouting Horn. I don't go to the Oregon coast very often, but I think I know that from a postcard I saw. And how somebody that lives at the coast did not know what Spouting Horn was. These are all, like names for water features and stuff like that. In fact, I had that open just a minute ago. If I can get to it right here. This is Devil's Punch Bowl here. And I have that. That's an actual sign that I have, but I haven't figured out exactly where that is. And then, and there is Spouting Horn in Depot Bay, if I can get a better picture of it. That's Spouting Horn in I believe that's Depot Bay, and there's a picture with a row of houses. This is a different angle here, but I found a picture of the one with the row of houses. If that's the correct image, you never know if. But anyway, that was pretty funny that I knew what that was, and she had never heard of that term before. But I don't know how long she's lived on the Oregon coast. But anyway, I thought that was pretty funny that I knew something and somebody else didn't. And then. So, what else do we have here? I went to the state surplus again. I didn't realize I had an extra binder, but now I had to replace my Mattingly binder, and my Mattingly binder is this super ancient old Kodak binder, and I had something covering up that years ago, and it's actually splitting. You might be able to see, but it's actually splitting down here. Unfortunately, the Mattingly binder I just got, this is an IBM binder. I just wanted something a dark color, and everything else is pretty dirty, and I thought it was a little on the larger side, but I will either have to get a larger binder or purge some of these Mattinglys. This includes the new ones I got over the weekend. Tons and tons of duplicates. So I have some trade bait if people need any Mattingly cards there. I'll try to figure out what what to do with those, and that hopefully should make that enough to where that binder is okay. I put that decal on there, some sort of surf or snowboard decal. I don't really know what the whole deal with that one is. And then I picked some stuff up at the bins, and I don't have very much of that because it was a very, very thin day. Zach will like this here. Well, there's two different Zachs, but Zach the Frugal would like this because I got a coupon for $5 off. And of course, guess what I did at Dollar General? And guess what I did? I missed it. I misplaced it right away. I took it out to the car. I couldn't find anywhere where it was. And I said, well, that's okay. I have another one. So I went and got another one, and the coupon was for next week. But they nicely found the right one at the store and gave me $5 off. So that was kind of cool. And then got a little pile of cards here I wanted to share with you. And you may not be able to see them very well. I'm trying to find a better backdrop here. I said bitter backdrop. I've been looking at commons here, and I found stuff like this Jim Marshall with very rough corners. I need to get Jim Marshall send out because I don't know if I have any cards. Or, I mean, I do have, got them before, but this is $1.79 free shipping. And if I had found that at the swap meet, they could have had a Jim Marshall there for 75 cents in better condition. So, I don't know. And that's the cheapest one I can find on eBay for $1.79. These things are like 55 cents or more on COMC, but again, $6 for shipping and another month wait to get a card for somebody who is very, very old. You don't write to somebody who's 90 and wait a couple months to get the card sent out. That's just not how it works. I don't know what we're going to do as TTM collectors, and we'd have to probably go up to eBay, but once all these big names pass away, you know, I say big names, but the big TTMers that pass away in the, like their late 80s and early 90s, I'm not sure. I mean, there's going to be a new crew of people that take that over, but, you know, there will be a time where there's nobody in the 50s that will ever sign, nobody in the early 60s would ever sign, so we would be, you know, it's there might be a couple people that don't have sports cards. I wanted to share with you these. I think I have all of them here. Let's get out to a better backdrop here, darker one here. And what we have here are cards that I received from Italy. Now I did have that open a minute ago, and I wanted to show you their store here. It looks like I have closed it for some reason. It's all in Italian, so you can go and type in these different players' names and look at the completed listings. Now, I will not know all of them because, unfortunately, these are very Italian-sounding names for the most part. But we have Marcello Lippi, and I found numerous cards of his. You know, a lot of these cards here, this is from Inter, what is this? I'm not exactly sure who made these. Some of these cards are really good looking, and some of them are illegible. But the nice foil ones here has kind of like a early 90s or late 90s, early 2000s upper deck look to it. This is from like somewhere between 99 and 2002. I don't remember the date of these. These were like $1.13 a piece. Many of these cards I was finding for double or 4 times in the United States if I can find a copy. This is a Panini card from the early 2000s. This is Massimo Carrera, and I bought card number 1, 2, and 3 of this set here. This is Panini Calcio cards from 2002. So I kind of like that. It has, again, another upper deck look to it. I thought that was kind of fun without having the upper deck logo. And it is a Panini regular sized card. But I will say that a lot of these cards are just shy by a little bit. So you won't be able to see that, but they're off just by a little bit at the top there. That means that PSA would say not minimum not met required. So they would basically reject half of these cards, even though these are, you know, have not been altered. Then we have another Massimo Taibi, T-A-I-B-I. And I think that was card number 1 maybe. This is 1 or 2. That's card number 1. And again, I'm not necessarily going to build a set, but I wanted to see what these looked like here. So they came all the way from Italy, and I've done that before. This one's a little smaller here. This is James Wilson. Excuse me. And I don't know. It looks like James Wilson. It says 1973 Roma. So he's a Shooting Stars. This is card number 359 or something like 358 or 359. So quite a huge set, but even at $1.13, that would just be hundreds of dollars to try to put that set together, and that would just be for commons, not like stars or anything, because some of the stars are like $50 a card. There's another Shooting Stars of David Platt. I think David Platt is English. And he's got some Upper Deck cards there for like the World Cup or whatever. Again, Shooting Stars. These are from like 1993 or something crazy like that. So yeah, this guy, what's his birth date? I don't know. I can't. Again, I might have to get glasses for that one there. I don't have anything like that. And then we have Clarence Seedorf. And I kind of like the color, I kind of like the foiling on this one here. Again, it reminds me of some Upper Deck U.S. football type of thing from the early, late 90s or early 2000s maybe, I don't know. Clarence Seedorf. He's got Pirelli tires on his shirt there. Then we have some sort of a coach or whatever you want to call it. Massimo Moratti. There's him right there. Probably an older picture there, I don't really know. There's the back of these, like the Inter things here, DS or something. I'm not exactly sure. Again, it's been a while since I ordered those, so I haven't. And these I don't particularly care for too, because the font on the bottom is kind of a blur. It's kind of like faded into like some sort of a silver gray script there. So this one says FC. I don't know what it is. And then what this guy's name is, it's a mega tiny little, fancy script there, so it's illegible. But it's part of, I think, some of these other sets here. This is card number 87, they say on the front there, and they use that for the back too, so there's no mistaking this card 87. And then we have card number 89, it's one of the legends here, but again, it looks like just a bad airbrush blob on the bottom there. It's really unfortunate there, but again, I want to try some different, overseas cards there. Finding them in the United States can be very expensive or not doable at all. What do you think this thing cost here? Again, this, even with shipping, was like 17 bucks, which is a heck of a deal. But essentially, I just went and bought commons off of eBay overseas. So none of these are stars, none of them, and none of them sell very well. The Legends cards, they sell pretty well. I'm still trying to get rid of this cough, and every other person around here has that nagging smoker's cough, and it's not great. So what can you do about that? This was a Jordan I picked up a long time ago, but somehow it ended up with a nasty crease right here, nasty like kind of a line there. So that's probably going to go, it's a Ionics or something Jordan. That'll probably have to go in the garbage there. I'll throw it in a box of stuff, and then somebody's like, wow, a Jordan. So meaning like I didn't call all the good cards there, and so that might help sell it even though it's garbage. Then I picked this book up not too long ago. I'm trying to get through everything here. This is My Secret Identity. There's an ancient like Goodwill or thrift store type sticker there, but it's from the TV show or from the TV show My Secret Identity. But also this is done by the author that did. I think it's R.L. Stine that did this one here. Different name on here, something. It says a novelization by Jovial Bob Stein, and that's I think that's R.L. Stine who did all the Goosebumps. It was just something I picked up at a garage sale for 50 cents. I also picked up a Choose Your Own Adventure today as well too, but a lot of these books have like absolutely awful brown toning in there because they sat in some box in somebody's attic for a long time, and unfortunately you can see that in the cover. It's kind of got like a weird kind of a brownish tone to that. So yeah, and this Apple paperback should not be really that color. It actually might it should be actually white, but now it's like a cream or a tan right now. So again, some of these books are just impossibly hard to find. I don't know what it is, but the Apple paperbacks, like the chapter type books, are definitely impossible to find. The Goodwill does not seem to sell any of those. Any of those. And then this week at Goodwill has been just absolutely embarrassing. People in the know, it was just like super thin. I don't know if they're sorting out the merchandise. The employees really don't know what's going on. In fact, they had a scary emergency at the store this afternoon. One of the employees got overheated and fell and hit the concrete floor and bashed his head. and they had to call the paramedics to wheel him away. I think he was more or less okay, but for precautions they had to get him under observation, and so that kind of delayed the rotation for a bit. But when the rotation finally came out, there was only half capacity, and I think I spent $4 and some odd change, because one of it was a paperback of 50 cents, and then everything else was just, I don't want to say shoestrings, but little bits of, cordage and I don't know, some envelopes for TTMs, and then somebody actually was looking through my cart and taking some weird greeting cards out of there. And she said, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that was your cart." And I said, "Well, I said the employees told me that they're the only ones that are supposed to look through people's abandoned carts, and it's just because I had to look at the other side of the merchandise and I couldn't get to my cart. Always making sure the employees are not whisking my cart away, because they'll do that from time to time, take what they think are the abandoned carts and dump everything back into the thing, because they sometimes need extra carts, and it gives them something to do because they don't always have stuff to do there. Too many cooks in the kitchen at times, but they don't always have enough people to sort the rotations out, and they're only doing it at half capacity and half the amount of donations. Half the amount of rotations. So, I guess people have their chance to get more stuff, and it makes sense, but everything is being culled and pulled out. This is garage sale season, which theoretically could wipe out some of the merchandise, but people take all their garage sale leftovers and donate them, so we should actually be, double capacity or something crazy, and that's not happening. Anything else before I forget, because I want to get this all done. It may not be loaded until Tuesday. Again, I didn't get all my TTM cards sorted out. I still have, I've got to write to Ken McMullen, but do I want to get another card, or do I want to, use what I have? And like I said, I need to get Jim Marshall written out, and there was a couple other people. There's some guy in the 57 set, which I thought I had, but it doesn't seem like I have it. I forget what his name was. I think he's on the Orioles. Get that one out at some point. And this needs to go in my binder. The Jim Rivera I picked up for my binder. I already have an autographed copy in amazingly good condition, so this Jim Rivera is a duplicate, but this Jim Rivera was the nicest Jim Rivera I have seen, so that's like an easy, like a $3 or $4. I'm noticing an uptick in like people selling like high quality ones for $3, $4, and $5, stating the grade and that sort of thing. It really doesn't do anything for me, because as mint as this is, it would probably get like a 5. It's very shiny. It looks like it was pack pulled, but the corners are not super crispy. But, it's just, look at the back of it. It's just very well taken care of. And, some people are asking upwards of $5, because where are you going to find a card that mint? I guess that's true, but again, I just can't in good conscience pay $5 for high grade commons. And that doesn't get me any closer to building the set. Maybe 66, this one really is worth about $1. So 75 cents was probably just fine for that one there. Bob Buell is not alive. I don't know if I've gotten him before back in the day, but that is all for today. I wanted to show you 2 Hot Wheels that I got with my $5 off. So at the Dollar General, you spend $20 or more and get $5 off. What a deal. So I got 2 Hot Wheels in the leftovers, and I will show that, and then I'll also show a library cart that I picked up for $10. Don't know exactly where it's going to go, but I think it would be great for books, or it will also be great for DVDs, stuff like that, maybe records. We'll see what I want to put on there. But it was only $10, and those carts are like $200 some to buy new, maybe closer to $300. And a very high quality cart there from the state library, and hope you enjoyed that. And like I said, I'll try to show you some pictures at the end of the video, and thank you for watching.